Okay, so I figured I'd go over some of what we did. It is a quart. That's what it says on this antique bottle here. What we did was we started out back in the fall. We got our apples. They always said it was best to get your apples after a frost, the first frost. Makes them sweeter is what they used to say and believe. So we bought the apples. We brought our carboys right up to Windy Hill Farm in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, and they filled the carboys for me, and then I brought them home and put the breather on the top, which you saw in the first video, part one, and I let them set a couple of weeks, and then with the hose, like you saw me doing before, I filled this bucket. I racked them off. I call it racking off is when you transfer from one bucket to the next one and you leave the sediment on the bottom. So what I did was leaving the sediment behind you, clarifying the site. You're trying to make it a little clearer. So that was like 3 steps there. We racked it off within 2 weeks, then we racked it off in a month. Then I went to Florida and I let it go for 4 months and came home and racked it off again. And it was dark this year, so maybe that's why it seems a little darker to me. And this week, last week they were still pushing gas through the cap on top of the carboys. So I waited till they were done pushing gas, and then when they finished, when they dropped down, I waited about another week, and then I started draining the carboys into here and adding the sugar. Now this batch, what I said was with brown sugar, and it takes a little longer to mature. What I normally use is the Carlson, right? Carlson's corn sugar. I usually use 7 ounces of sugar per 5 gallons. On this particular batch, I went with 5 ounces of brown and then 3 ounces of the regular sugar. So just, I write it down, and then if for some reason that's the best one I've ever had, I'll try that again, It all has to do with the apples every year. I mean, some years are better than others. I haven't had a bad year yet, really. I've done it 3 times, and it's been, my family did it, but they only one of my relatives ever bottled it. They used to always just put it in the big 55-gallon barrel, and then you drank it until it was gone. It, it'd get hard after a little while, but I don't think it was probably as good as this. When they did it this way and they added the sugar, they would call this poor man's champagne. They couldn't afford anything else, and I tell you, I like it better than champagne myself, and I got a lot of people that seem to agree. So it's nice to have this stuff kicking around the basement, and and that's it. Basically, I think I went through the whole thing there. The final step is capping, which I can switch back and do a couple caps right now for you, actually, and finish this off. 1 inch or so from the top, 1.5 inches. I'm going to take this and I'll move the camera close. Yeah. Okay, so all these bottles, I put an ad on Craigslist. I put an ad on Craigslist saying, looking for bottles. And this lady wrote me and said, I think I have what you're looking for. So I went down to her house, and and the lady says, I got 11 cases of these old bottles, and some of these cases are plastic and some are wood. She goes, I got 11 cases, you can have them, or she sold them to me. But there's one problem. she says they're filled with cider, but it's no good. So I said, oh, all right. I figured that's okay. I'll just dump it out and bring it home. Then at least I'll have the bottles. So I brought it home and I said to my wife, we better try this and see if it's any good. And it was like, I got some different size bottles fighting with me here. It was just like champagne. The stuff was really, really good. And at that point, it was 13 years old, I think it was. And so I ended up with all these bottles and 13 cases of cider. And I bought carboys off her, and sometimes you end up with these old champagne bottles, and if they got the right top on them, they also cap very well. That's what the old Italians would use their wine, was the old champagne bottles. Let's see, finish up the short ones here. I'll adjust the press. I don't know. This is a, this is probably 7,500-year-old press, but the new ones, they're made out of plastic and aluminum, and they just don't last, I ran a lot of beer through one, and it just wore it out. So when I bought this old house, it came with a bottle capper. So that's about it. Enjoy some hard cider.